Okay, hello everyone and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today I'm going to be doing a which is better. If you don't know what this, we'll call it a series, it's basically where I'm taking two tanks that are very similar, whether it's that they are direct copies of each other or they are just very similar in design or function. For example, the one that I did in the past was the Tiger Kuramoremine versus the Tiger 131, wherever I've got it in here. Yep, there you go. And I basically compare the two tanks and see how similar they are and tell you, in my opinion, which is better. And there'll be... the way that this format goes is that I go over the stats of the tanks, and then I say, and then I give you a game in each of them, a good game in each of them, and then do some closing thoughts. So, the two tanks we're going to be looking at today is which is better, the Churchill Gun Carrier or the Dreadnought. The Dreadnought was an event tank for one of these things, not the season. It wasn't a season tank, it was one of these things, battle pass, and it's basically very similar to the gun carrier, the Churchill Gun Carrier. Indeed, it's basically just a funky looking gun carrier with a different body, but yeah, it's basically a gun carrier. And so the question obviously that comes to mind is, which is better, the OG Churchill Gun Carrier or the brand new Dreadnought? And the answer is the Dreadnought, without doubt. There's just no way that the gun carrier is better. It's better in certain aspects as the gun carrier compared to the Dreadnought, but the way that it is better is in no way more beneficial than all of the positives that the Dreadnought brings. And we'll go over why. So we're going to be looking at these two tanks directly. We're not going to be comparing them to other tanks. We're just going to be looking at the two of them together. So the gun carrier here, it has been buffed over the years. It was a tech tree tank, and then it became a special tank like this, a collector's vehicle. And it has been buffed over the years, which is good. But even with the buffs, it's in no way better than the Dreadnought. 884 HP with 150 frontal hull, 64 side, 51 rear is what the gun carrier has. And when you compare it to the Dreadnought's got 950 HP, 775 frontal hull, 90 side, 51 rear. The Dreadnought is way better than the gun carrier in any of the aspects, and that is the gun carrier with the improved assembly, which gives me more HP. If I was to take that down, we'd go down to what, 850 HP, and the armor buffs that you get is from the other piece of equipment is in no way beneficial. The Dreadnought, I do have enhanced armor on, but then if I was to take that off, improved assembly, it would go up to nearly 1000 HP at tier 6, which is a lot for a and yeah, the armor stat doesn't change here, but yeah, nearly 1000 HP is a lot for a tier 6 tank destroyer. It's nearly on par with the 87, I think, is the tier 6 British tank destroyer. And yeah, this thing is just way better armoured. The armour, frontal armour, it is still flat, but it's 25mm more. Side armour's better. Rear armour is better? Question mark. Yep, rear armour's better. So yeah, the gun carrier loses in all aspects of survivability. It's got worse armour. It's got worse HP. And it is still flat frontal armour and flat side armour, but with the increased thickness of the Dreadnought, you have a far better chance angling. Actually angling this side armour, even going at this angle, shots have a far higher percentage chance of bouncing off of your armour, as you will see in the battle that I'm going to show in the Dreadnought compared to the gun carrier. Yeah, so in every way, this thing is just way better in survival. Mobility-wise, then neither of them are particularly great, but the gun carrier's got a 27 kilometers an hour average speed with a 12.1 pound to weight and a 14.15 degrees per second hull traverse, which when you compare to the Dreadnought, the Dreadnought's got a 25 kilometers an hour average speed, an 11.1 power to weight ratio, and a 48 degrees per second hull traverse. So it is slightly more capable of traversing, which is important. However, the gun carrier is generally slightly better in terms of mobility. Slightly better power to weight, slightly better average speed, and hull traverse, it's only losing out on a couple of degrees. However, even so, neither of them are particularly great at mobility. And the fact that the gun carrier does have slightly more power for getting up places to the battle, slightly quicker than the Dreadnought does, it doesn't make a difference in the grand scheme of things. The Dreadnought's hull traverse is slightly more of a good thing compared to the gun carrier's general speed and power, because of the gun. Specifically because of the gun traverse either side of the horizontal, which we will get onto now, I suppose, since we've got them here. That's the wrong thing. So yeah, the gun carrier so far, it's worse in survivability in all aspects, and it's ever so slightly technically more mobile. But here's where it comes to the big difference, which is the gun. They both have got the same sort of gun. They've both got a 32-pounder on them. The gun carrier there has got its 32-pounder, and the Dreadnought here has got its Ordnance Quickfire 32-pounder. Mark, what is that, 13? No, Mark 17. But yeah, here's where the difference is. The gun carrier has got a better gun by technicalities. 3.2 second aim time with a 0.29 dispersion, nearly 2500 DPM with a 6 second reload time, 214 millimeters of average pen with AP 246 with APCR 47 with HG, 250 average damage with AP 210, APCR 330 HE, which compared to the Dreadnought does lose out. We go here. So yeah, the Dreadnought has got 3.6 second aim time, 0.34 dispersion with a far worse DPM 2245 and an 8 second reload time. Worse pen at 182, 230 APCR 50 HE, so actually rather better HE for some reason. However, average damage it does go up 300 with AP, 260 with APCR, 350 with HE, which means that whilst it does have lower pen, it does more average damage, although the reload time is what really gets you. Because yeah, it loses out 2 seconds of reload compared to the gun carrier, which means that the gun carrier does have a better gun. If we were to look at this again, it's got better aim time, it's got better accuracy, it's got a better DPM, better average pen, better reload time. In all aspects apart from average damage, the gun carrier is better. Which is something to note, because having a good gun is very important. And at this tier, 214 millimeters of pen was that? 214 millimeters of average pen with AP is incredibly good. With APCR you get up to 246, which is the same penetration as the mouse has at tier 10 with its 128 millimeter gun. The mouse, of course, does roughly double the damage of this 32-pounder, but that's beside the point. The point is the gun carrier has got a very good gun, actually, for this tier. It's probably one of the best anti-tank guns at this tier for a tank destroyer to have. The Dreadnought, though, technically, it's got a worse gun. However, the stats that it does have are perfectly adequate, really, for this tier. If we were to put on refined gun, it would go down to 0.29, which is the same as the gun carrier. With enhanced gun lane drive, we already have. Equipment-wise, they're pretty similar laid out in terms of how I've got them, because the gun carrier has got supercharger and it does have stabs, because we don't need 0.24 accuracy, to be perfectly honest. So yeah, they do have very similar equipment loadouts, but the equipment loadout doesn't really make a difference all too much. It does in some aspects, but the most important aspects, which is having a gun rammer on this thing, and which is gun rammer, enhanced gun lane drive, and even refined gun, is still the most important things, and I've got these pretty similar. So, and also I should note, provisions are also the same. I made sure to equip the same provisions on both of these tanks for this review and the games. So yeah, technically the Dreadnought does have a worse gun. It has worse DPM, worse penetration, worse accuracy. Well, actually, same accuracy now that we've put a refined gun on. but without refined gun, worse accuracy. The only difference is that the Dreadnought has got higher damage. And you would think, well, it's a tank destroyer. Surely you would want the better gun stats. And yes, technically you would want better gun stats. However, the gun is not the only thing that makes a tank destroyer. The actual vehicle is what also makes the tank destroyer. And if the vehicle itself is no good, it doesn't matter what gun you have on it. And the gun carrier does have a technically far better gun, but it's on a far worse chassis. The Dreadnought, in terms of actual pure gameplay and survivability, is a way better chassis for this gun, even if the gun is worse than the gun carrier. And they have both got the same, or at least very similar, gun elevation and traversal. Gun turn limit up, so gun elevation 12, depression of 10, and does it tell us? Yeah, there you go. 5 degrees either side of the middle for the gun traverse. And if we were to look at the gun traverse on here, again, 12 degrees of gun elevation, 10 degrees of gun depression, but more importantly, 7 degrees either side of the horizontal for gun traverse. And that's very, very important. One of the big problems with the gun carrier is that the gun can barely turn. You've barely got any room back there because of the breach for the gun to actually turn without turning the hull. And that's a big problem. Even though 2 degrees either side isn't particularly all too much in the grand scheme of things, it does make a difference with the Dreadnought. Because it means you have to turn the hull less, you can spend more time aiming, more time scoping, etc, etc. And that's a big change. That's a big important improvement for the Dreadnought in comparison to the gun carrier. And that's just one of the reasons why the Dreadnought, well, it's just another reason why the Dreadnought is better than the gun carrier. The gun carrier as well, I should note, fun fact, the gun carrier used to have, I believe, 102 millimeters of frontal armour. It was buffed to 150, which made a difference, but it's not a big enough difference compared to the Dreadnought's 175 millimeters. Of course, there's also things like camo. Yeah, the Churchill, I think, has got a better amount of camo compared to, there you go, concealment. 37, 26, 12. Let's have a look at this. 57, 36, 13. 57. Alright, the Dreadnought has got better camo. I thought because this thing was much bigger it would have worse camo, but no, apparently this thing has got a better camouflage silhouette than the gun carrier does. Which, interesting. Not sure exactly why. I don't think the camo gives no concealment bonuses. Yeah, it gives no concealment bonuses. It's just that great at hiding. Alright, cool. So yeah, the Dreadnought is even better camouflage as well. It's in pretty much every way, except for some aspects of the gun, a better upgrade to the gun carrier. And that's why the Dreadnought is better. But don't take my word for it. I'll let the gameplay show you. So we do have, there you go. We do have 2 games here for the tanks. We're going to start off with the gun carrier. We're going to go on mines. Something else to note is that I had far consistently better games in the Dreadnought than I did in the gun carrier. It was far easier to get a good match, or at least a semi-decent match, in the Dreadnought compared to in the gun carrier. The gun carrier I found myself dying a lot more, getting spotted a lot more, and generally not doing great in compared to the Dreadnought. Whereas the Dreadnought, yeah, brilliant games. But here we go. We're set up here on mines. We're sitting back here. This Firefly gets spotted. Luckily the BDR's taken the heat, and we can put 2 nice shots right into the side of it. Now this M4 Sherman, we're lucky to bounce his gun, and we bounce the Sturv because of how we're angled here. And we're just too slow to reload onto that guy. The good reload time of this thing does make it good for when you do have an avenue of fire and you do have targets to shoot at. But when you don't have targets to shoot at, there is very little use for that. But still, we're looking for the stirve. I know that the enemy tanks are over at the cap point. There goes our VK who is over there, and it means that they are now going to come from that side. But I'm still looking here to support the BDR, even though he has got support from the island to the left. But I'm still here trying to scope out this stirve. And that's when the heavy tanks start coming around the corner, and I notice them coming around the corner, and I think, yeah, okay, I should probably do something about that. Try a snapshot, doesn't work, but the KV keeps on driving. He's really scoped in on that BDR, he really wants to kill him. I take a 200 damage shot there from, I think, the Blastroid, and yeah, he's now still looking to shoot at me, and he's now turned away. I try a quick shot there. Bounce a 260 shot there. At range, the armour of this thing is perfectly adequate. 150 frontal armour at this tier from a long range like this is perfectly fine. These two tanks get spotted over there. Put a nice side shot into the T1 Heavy. That KV-1S is now looking at me. He's the guy that did the 200 shot earlier. He's got the 85mm. Yep, there you go. Nice bounce off the front there because very easy. Try a shot there, doesn't work, and then all of a sudden, hello, where did you come from? This Blastroid has suddenly appeared out of nowhere. I'm like, uh-oh. Going to put a quick shot into him there. Luckily, bounce his shot there, 200 shot. I tried to track him again, but only damages his track. He manages to put another shot into me, but he is getting shot from all the other sides. Trying to bounce another shot from him, but he dies before I can, which is very lucky for me. Luckily, I had the team to support me, namely that Chaffee. And now the only two tanks left is the KV-1 and the T1 Heavy. I'd try a shot over there just in case he's there, but nope, he's obviously hiding somewhere else. There he is, the KV-1. And I'm initially thinking maybe I could sit here, there's a nice avenue to look down here. But no, the Chaffee's trying his hardest. And there's that T1 Heavy. Unfortunately, somebody finishes him off just before I can put up my shot there. It might have bounced off with frontal armour, but I was aiming for that frontal weak spot. Weakness belt, I should say. That's that KV-1, scope in on him, put a nice shot right through the front of his hull, which is very nice, and somebody else finishes him off. So, overall, not a bad game. Pretty good game, actually, I could say. In the gun carrier, we didn't die, which is always a good point for a gun carrier game. We did get high caliber, first class, and Spartan. 2600 damage done, over 1000 blocked, 6 damages, no kills, unfortunate. But yeah, we did do a lot. We did use one of our times 10 booster, whatever they are, which I don't have a choice on whether or not I want to use them. So there you go. We got a nice amount of XP either way, and of course I was top of the team in terms of damage dealt and XP earned. Here's our 11 shots fired, 11 pens, 17 shots overall fired. 6 damages, no kills unfortunate, but we did get some spotting assist, or at least damage assist, from detracking the Blastroid, I think, probably. 8 hits received, only 3 penned, because at range, this 150mm of frontal armour is perfectly good against tier 5 tanks, and even some tier 6 tanks. And then, yeah, there's all of the XP and credits. As for our efficiency, lots of damage and destroyed tracks, really. So, nothing too spectacular there. But that's the gun carrier. We're now going to be showing you a game in the Dreadnought, which is here on Fort Despair, which I wasn't too sure about initially. I was thinking, what the hell is this map? What am I meant to do with this? But it turns out to be an alright game. Which is perfectly good. So we're going down this side because nobody's going to the centre, and I don't want to go to the centre. I don't want to go into the actual fort itself when everyone else is going over here. Plus, this gives a nice open area of terrain in case enemies camp in the bushes like they always do. But there's that stirve, or I say that stirve, there is the stirve, and of course the 5916. And I set up here just in case they come around the corner, because I'm expecting them to rush the Type 58, which they are. However, the ARL is also going to support him, so they're not going to rush around the corner, so I might as well head forwards, try and get some shots in. But then, yeah, there goes the 5916. Then I spot this T-34, and, well, he's just sat there. I'm going to put a nice shot right through the front of his hull, which is very nice. And he's turning away to try and escape. I try and disable his engine, or at least damage his tracks. Unfortunately, no criticals done. However, that is a nice shot there, and if I had a quicker reload time like the gun carrier, I would have been able to kill him, but I didn't. Luckily though, nice shot into the turret bustle, finishes off, damages, sorry, the ammo rack of the Sturv. And then there's this Tiger 131. And here's where I decide to just put a nice shot straight through the front of him there. And he bounces right off the front of my armour. The gun carrier might have survived that. I try and put another shot into his turret just in case he's still there, but he's not. See this Jackson, which I initially thought was a Hellcat, and my shot unfortunately bounces somehow, which I'm not too happy about, but it did. And then this Tiger suddenly reappeared. He's obviously forgotten I'm here. Go for a nice side shot, try and damage his ammo. It doesn't. However, that is a nice 322 damage dealt, and he can't get through my frontal armour, so I'm perfectly safe sitting here. 175mm of frontal armour. That survives against most things. Especially the 131, because the 131 there has got 145mm of pen, which is very easily stopped by this frontal armour. Nice shot into the Jackson. He unfortunately finishes off the KV-1, but he did take damage, and he did get killed there by the Krupp 38D, which is very good. High damage output of this gun means that even though it does have lower DPM, it does do a lot of nice alpha. Now, I'm expecting the T-14 to come around the corner there. He doesn't, however, and he gets spotted by, I think, our Blastroid is the one that's gone around the corner. Now, I'm thinking, where do I go? How do I get these guys? How do I kill them? And initially, I'm thinking of going around this corner right there. But then I think, actually, I'll go up here. I'll go up here, get some nice flanking damage on them, because he's obviously focusing the Blastoid. He's not expecting me to be here. So indeed, that's what I do. Come around the corner, put a nice side shot right into the side of him there. He fires at me. He only blows off my track because, yep, I have got easily enough frontal armor to finish to deal with his gun. And now the Blastoid. Now the Blastroid has got a good gun on it. And unfortunately it did penetrate me there, but he's now focusing on somebody else. He's not focusing on me, which is very nice because I can put a nice side shot right into him there. And he aims at me again, but that frontal armour again saves me. The frontal armour, because I angled it, because I turned, it ricocheted right off. The gun carrier probably would have been penned from that. But the Dreadnought, no worries. Ricocheted straight away. So again, high caliber Spartan, second class mastery, which tells us that people are doing better in this tank than they are in the gun carrier, because in the gun carrier this result got me a first class mastery. In here, only within the 50% of players playing this tank, which tells you that this tank is just doing better than the gun carrier. 1 kills, 6 damages, exactly 2700 damage and exactly 800 damage blocked. That's pretty fun to see there. We used up a ×5 XP thingy there, XP ticket, and top of the team obviously on damage dealt and XP earned, which is very nice. 13 shots fired again, 10 hits, 12 hits, 10 pens, 6 damage, 1 kill, 6 hits received, only 3 of them penned. We blocked 800 damage. Defended the base at 22 points, which is pretty fun. As for our efficiency, we only damaged the ammo rack of the Sturv. Bit of a shame, but no worries. No worries about that. We at least won the battle. And yeah, that was one of, I think, 3 or 4 games that I played in this tank to try and get that sort of result. And all of them were much for muchness. I think we lost possibly one of them. But, in fact, no, I don't need to say possibly. Here we go, I can just look at this. Nope, we won 3 of them. Played 3, won 3. Whereas the gun carrier played 4, won 1, which is the one you saw in mines. Because this tank is just so much better. So to answer the question again, which one is better now that you have seen the gameplay, now that you've seen me go over the stats, which is better, gun carrier or the Dreadnought? Obviously, it's the Dreadnought. There's no contest. The gun carrier, like I say, does have a better gun, but the Dreadnought, it's better in every other way. Better armour, the mobility is much for muchness, so it doesn't really matter. Gun traverse, it's better, and everything else, it's worse, but it's better where is important, and that's the main thing. If you really, really, really want the gun of the gun carrier, then sure, get and play the gun carrier if you can. I don't think I've ever seen this thing return since it was removed and turned into a collector's vehicle, so good luck getting it. If you have it, then by all means play it for the gun if you really want, but if you want a actual decent game in a gun carrier thing, it's the Dreadnought, really. There's basically no contest. So yeah, that is which is better, gun carrier or the Dreadnought. I will thank you for watching, and goodbye.